Hello, everyone. I am here for part two of my Eurovision 2022 series, where I'm going to be talking about semifinal two, which will be held on the 12th of May. I've already filmed my thoughts and reactions to all of the songs in semifinal one, and I will link that in the description for anyone that is interested. We have 18 entries to talk about. I'm going to try and make this a little snappier, a little quicker. There were 17 in the first semi. Took an hour for me to get through them all. So I'm going to share my thoughts in order from my least favorite to most favorite. And of course, in doing so, share my hopes for which songs are going to qualify. Remember, 10 songs can qualify. There are 18 songs in this semi. This is the larger one. So 8 songs are not going to make the cut. And I am sure that they are not necessarily going to be songs that I feel this semi, it's tricky. I'm looking at both of the semis, and to be completely honest with you, neither one of these is like I feel jam-packed with songs that I feel have to go through. There's definitely 4 or 5 that I think will go through in all of these semis, but that leaves a little bit of room for another 5 entries that, barring 1 or 2, I'm like, I'm okay with this. Like, I'm not really going to be too up in arms this year. I've heard people say this is a weaker year in terms of the songs in general, and I don't know. I haven't been following Eurovision this closely for that many years, really, to be honest. So I can't really say if this year is the weakest out of the last several, the last decade. I can't really bring that comparison up. But I could somewhat agree. I don't even feel like the number 1 or 2 songs of mine are like something I would phone home about. But at the same time, Eurovision is always a little bit more kind of just about the spectacle and about just the array and diversity of music and sound that we are seeing here. And I don't know, I still get really roped into it, even if more than half the songs are things that I would never review on this channel normally, nor feel compelled to give any sort of analysis for. So I still get motivated to do this, even though sometimes I'm like, I don't like most of this stuff. I really don't. I don't care if it qualifies. But with that being said, so I'm going to start out by talking about the entry from this semi that I feel would be the biggest crime to qualify. This is the entry that I think is the absolute weakest, and it's just also my least favorite. And so I hope I don't offend anyone but I am sorry. My least favorite entry out of this semi is going to go, and I thought long and hard about this, but it is going to go to San Marino. Achille Lauro is an Italian, I do not believe he is from San Marino himself, Italian rock singer. And if anyone is familiar with Måneskin, there are comparisons. They won Eurovision, of course, last year. It's being hosted in Turin this year because of it. I am completely ignorant to Italian pop rock, so I had no idea who Achille Lauro was. I'll be honest, when I first saw his performance, I thought it was a Måneskin ripoff as well. A more lackluster take on something he would do, that group would do. But actually, believe it or not, this guy's actually been around for a lot longer. He's actually almost more popular in Italy and San Marino than Måneskin is. And so some fans are a little pissed off that it's coming across as the other way around, that one is not copying the other. It's actually like Måneskin sort of taking a page out of Achille's book. So be that with his may, I'll respect it. I'm not going to trash him for being derivative then. But honestly, this is not my cup of tea. This music is just not doing it for me. I can appreciate Måneskin's win last year because it was a grungy kind of punk rock song that was not, well, it was a punk rock song that was not really my style of music, but I could appreciate the energy and the dynamism. That's completely falling flat here. He feels like he's phoning in the lyrics. I'm not getting anything vocally that impressive going on. I'm just not feeling his stage presence on that performance. It seems like he's dead behind the eyes to me personally. I know that sometimes is a bit of the stage present aesthetic for some of these punky, holier than thou musicians, but I'm not buying it, okay? You got to do a little bit more. So yeah, I'm sorry, but this melody is not it. I'm not seeing a lot of people checking for this entry. I'm not seeing a lot of people saying it's that good. So I don't feel too out of line by saying that I think this might be the worst of this bunch. It's hard because my second least favorite, it's fighting for that spot. My second least favorite is going to go to Georgia with Circus Mercus. I can't believe I'm saying such an interesting, strange band name. Circus Mercus, their song Lock Me In. We do not have a live performance or a music video as of me filming this video to this song yet. We only have the studio cut, which makes it a lot harder for me to sort of understand what the bigger picture of this music of this song is. I can go by the lyrics, but take me to the spacecraft, take me to the dance club is sort of repeated in this very staccato, fast paced rhythm that has this energy that's very frenetic energy. And then chorus, it's just these pronounced statements: lock me up, lock me down, lock me in, lock me out, lock me sideways. What does any of that even mean? There is a psychedelia enshrouding the lyrics to this track. I believe that the music video was supposed to come out in the beginning of this month, but due to the situation in Ukraine, the artists decided to postpone releasing such a what they call vibrant and colorful music video that they felt was insensitive given their neighbor and former post-Soviet ally, Ukraine, what they're dealing with. So Georgia has decided, I guess that's why we're not getting that visual right now. So hopefully it will come sometime soon, because it's a shame. It would give a little bit more context here. Look, the studio cut is interesting. It takes a few listens. I think that because we don't know how this is going to be performed on stage, there's a lot about this that makes me feel like on stage this could really fall flat in terms of the vocals. Just there's almost a necessary kind of computerization to the feel and the production of this track, and especially since we're going to be this is such a progressive kind of edgy electronic rock song. I don't know if that's really the right designator for it, but I think it is more in that lane. You're almost not really thinking about organic instrumentals in the same way. You're thinking a little bit more about like just this very kind of studio synth created sound. And I'm not entirely sure that's going to translate onto the stage. The chorus, I see it missing. I don't see people I see people scratching their heads and not really, on a Eurovision stage, you can't give someone a song that is just not catchy immediately. Like that's just not something that I think sells well. It's not going to garner a lot of votes. Not to mention, might be a little hard to understand what they're saying. It took me a little while to get everything they were saying in the studio cut. And again, we just don't know. It's like they're anonymous. We don't really know much about this group. And so I feel like it's an anonymous entry right now. And I want more of the colors filled in on the lines, so to speak. But yeah, we're getting this psychedelic, beam me up, Scotty energy, which could be a lot of different metaphors. I don't know. Take me to the dance floor, only different, but I don't think it is going to resonate with a large audience. And I don't think that it's going to really work on the Eurovision stage. But prove me wrong, Georgia. Prove me wrong. The next act that I feel pretty confident is not going to qualify, though. I mean, again, it's a little more likely than these other two. He's going to be Israel. Michael Ben David. He has thankfully revamped his entry, I Am, which, the original performance and release we have on audio was, a bit demo, a bit unfinished. Now, the whole song as it is, and even with the final revamp, I definitely feel, and one person aptly pointed out, that this sounds like a RuPaul throwaway track. The synth line is so reminiscent of Swish Swish by Katy Perry. I can't get that distinction out of my head. So I must admit that's really weighing it down as well. It's, a very sassy, very boisterous, very fun, flamboyant, gay anthem. Obviously, Michael Ben David is, he's expressing, in the choice of backup dancers, and the LGBT pride is just it's really primal here. And of course, as a gay, I somewhat appreciate that, of course. Of course I do. But, sometimes you feel like you got to put like a little bit more quality and effort into something. And this song sounds very much like generic club, in Ibiza or in Tel Aviv, gay club, put it on, you dance to it, but you don't really think anything about much more than this sort of dime a dozen synth disco number. There's more interesting dance stuff is what I'm trying to say on the table here. There's dance stuff that is a little more self-aware or cognizant of being a little bit more original. I think that this feels like it's not even trying to hide that it is just run-of-the-mill RuPaul runway fodder. And not to slight it for that, because, I don't want to necessarily say that everything has to be this higher kind of there's room for like kind of silly throwaway pop at Eurovision, like there is, but I don't know. I don't maybe it's me also just knowing that I think the general fan consensus is that this is pretty bad. So maybe I'm just like kind of leaning into that a little bit. So forgive me, but I don't see people like enjoying this. I think it's going to be a little bit. I think Michael. Maybe I read somewhere that Michael's having a little trouble with his team and delegation, and that he maybe wanted to write and perform a song that was a little bit more him, and they kind of gave him this song that he clearly didn't have any hand in writing or very minimal input on, and was just told like, just dance, like you'll look fabulous, and here's some amazing style, some amazing outfits that I know you could rock, because I know this guy can dance. I know this guy can move to the beat and, keep a rhythm going and sing. And I think I'm pretty confident that he can do it without lip syncing. Like, there's a lot of stuff here that makes me think this guy can do it. This guy can do it. Like, he can tear the stage down. The styling, the production, the potential for, projection and, whatever, it's definitely there. But I still feel like I might be yawning somehow. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel as though this is just too derivative, too knockoff, not quite the real deal. It's like a knockoff Gucci shoe or whatever, Gucci handbag. It's missing that authenticity. So yeah, I'm feeling like too much factory made synth pop here. The next song I'm not really feeling, I don't believe is going to qualify, but it's a little bit more, of course, likely would be Finland, the group The Rasmus with their song Jezebel. I think that at first listen, the guitar melody that kind of weaves in and out of this track is the most alluring part of the song, and I do enjoy it when it comes through. The oscillating guitar notes, that ones I'm talking about, not the heavy, the bass guitar. The bass guitar, of course, takes over, and then it's this growling, kind of singing, shouting, industrial rock kind of thing. It's pop. It's definitely pop. It's more accessible than what San Marino's given us, or even than what Måneskin's given us. But it's also not really lyrically interesting. I find the lyrics to be a bit borderline for me personally, a little bit like, okay, like you're semi kind of slut shaming someone. So I'm not like totally like gonna go there. I'm not gonna really go there and say these guys we've moved beyond that, but it feels like, this is sort of the kind of subject matter we'd see bands unapologetically saying, male bands about women back in the day. And now today it's sort of like, well, are we a little bit more, conscientious of how lyrics might sound? I don't know. Hearing a bunch of dudes scream Jezebel, like a bunch of straight dudes with a kind of angst to them, it doesn't really rub me the right way. But, to each his own. I'm not saying anything, but this song is just falling flat. I do like the electric guitar riffs and the oscillations in the back. That's all this song's giving me. The next song that I am not feeling, this is going to get some heat. But I put Cyprus. Ela is a song by this, I don't know, Andromache. I have no idea if that's her real name. Andromache. Forgive me. I'm American. There's a lot of research that goes into this, but sometimes you just don't have time. And Andromache, Ella it's a bit more sensual. It's a bit more kind of Latin Shakira vibe, but it feels like everything is put on like several levels muted. Like everything is just a little watered down. The instrumentals, the bass, the rhythm, the vocals, more importantly. Something I'm going to really need from her vocally is to just be a little bit more present and powerful over the backing production, because I do think it is swallowing her. She has a very soft voice that I don't know is very well suited to a J-Lo Shakira thumping, almost borderline reggaeton track. I don't think that really suits her very well. Like, it just doesn't. It's swallowing her voice and her vocals, and it's making her sound very kind of half-hearted. So I think that, a stronger, more powerful diva voice would have carried this more. Something that, like, Albania's definitely gotten the bag, or I'm thinking of Mata Hari last year, the Azerbaijan, It's that kind of vibe that's just not being sold vocally the same level, and I think that that is the biggest fault I have on this track. Because otherwise, it's perfectly innocuous. It's definitely like, what I would expect to hear at Eurovision, especially from a Southern European country that has a little bit more of that, Middle Eastern slash Turkish slash, Iberian Peninsula flavor coming through. All of those different things coming into it. This Mediterranean groove. But to me, we've heard stronger iterations of this kind of song, and Ella is just a little weak vocally for me. She's not standing out, is what I mean. I don't mean that she doesn't have a great voice. I think at the guitar in an acoustic setting, we would be singing a different story here. The next song that I don't think is going to qualify is going to be from North Macedonia. I feel that Andrea, her song Circles, is a perfectly safe power ballad. It's got this like girl power, like you're not going to test my limits, kind of cliche lyrics here. Don't gaslight me, basically. Like, don't try and attempt to control me or understand me. I think that she really could sell the emotion of this because it's a very earnest, very raw kind of delivery that this song is requiring. And I could see her just like really staring down the camera and like putting a bit of the fear of God in any ex's eyes by just saying, like, look, this is how powerful I am. And that has a place on the Eurovision stage. So I don't want to underestimate that. I think with the right styling and the right stage presence and camera angles, we've got a package. But, again, we're dealing with a little bit more vocally dynamic and interesting, powerful, deeply raw and personal emotive power ballads this year that are going to overshadow what this is offering. And so I do think it's going to get lost in the mix. I would be kind of surprised if this qualified. And yeah, I wouldn't hate it if it did. I certainly wouldn't be upset, but I think there are stronger songs. So next we have Belgium. Bit controversial. Jeremy Makiesque. Forgive me for the pronunciation. I'd like to think I can pronounce French names, but the two accent aigus in that one are kind of throwing me off a little bit. So Jeremy is definitely selling a little bit of that old school R&B with a bit of a hip hop edge that I think is so kind of late 90s, early 2000s. It's definitely going to tug on the heartstrings. He's got the good looks. He's going to have the styling to it's going to be impeccable. I think that the camaraderie between his backup dancers, whoever's on stage, from what we can see in the music video, I think he's probably going to be a very competent vocalist. I think we definitely have a qualifier on our hands. The question is it one that I necessarily would put in my top 10? I don't know. I'm iffy about this one and one other song, and I'll get to that one. These are songs that might be interchangeable for me, but maybe there are ones I'd prefer to send through. Because at the end of the day, I mean, this does just sound like something that, sort of boy band could put out. And I'm kind of over it. And listening to so many Eurovision songs over the years, I'm sure Eurovision fatigue sets in for real after a certain point. You just start to feel like not hearing anything new here. I'm just not interested in what this is serving, and that's in this form of substance. So the last song that I don't think will qualify or should qualify, but I'm not sure on that, is Ireland. Brooke Scullion. I feel like I have to say it in an Irish accent. Brooke Scullion. She is certainly serving some sort of, slumber party realness here with that performance she gave, that on that national selection. I actually appreciate how stripped back it was in terms of the styling. I think that having her dressed that way and having the pigtails, it actually it ages her down. It makes her look younger than she is. And I think that kind of works for a song that is so teenage girl. It's so unabashedly kind of petty and shallow and just kind of vacuous in that respect. The first time I listened to it, I was like, this is kind of garbage. I wasn't feeling it. Maybe it's the synth hook that comes in that it elevates it a little bit as a synth hook. I'm not sure what it is about this song that's made it rise so high in my rankings. And as I'm saying this, I'm like, you really put it this high? You almost have this qualifying? What universe? I mean, wouldn't you give that to Jeremy, or wouldn't you give that to Andrea, the songs that, but then maybe I'm like, I don't know, maybe That's Rich is just offering that like one bit of teenage girl pop that we're not really getting from the rest of this contest. It's not trying to be anything that it's not trying to be older than it is. And I think I appreciate it for that. There's no pretense of like juries fawn over me. Like, come on, juries, I want your vote. It's like, no, I'm just having fun, and I don't know if this is necessarily like a song that even Brooke is gonna be like, that's a really good song. Like, at least like I know I was giving Michael Ben David a hard time, and maybe I should be giving her a hard time too. But I don't know. I'm kind of like I couldn't get it out of my head, and as I'm saying this, I'm like, are you really saying that this song is that much better than what Israel's offering? Maybe not. Maybe this just goes to show how I'm so not into this semi of Eurovision because all these songs in the bottom 10 in the bottom 8 that I've just talked about, I really could care less if they don't if yeah, I really don't want them to qualify, but I also don't feel like I'm like feeling that strongly either way. I don't know how to say that. But now we do have the 10 songs that I do feel have a little bit more that they're bringing to the table, something worthwhile that can be done really well on stage. The first is Montenegro, Vladana, with her song Breathe. Melodically, this one is a little off the mark for me. I'm really trying to get to follow the melody line, but Vladana, I'm sorry, but we're not necessarily we're going over these peaks and valleys that aren't really hitting for me. But I still believe that she will be vocally very triumphant on stage. I think that she can nail this. And regardless of my feelings of the melody, maybe I just do feel like it's a little a clumsy melody. It's got these strange tempo changes for me that make the song feel like long and kind of aired out in parts and then very frantic and short. And I don't know if those conflate very well. The energy, the crescendo that this song has, I'm just like, where was this song even going? Like this song is just a bit out there. But it straddles, between very stripped back piano ballad and North Macedonia like electropop chorus. And so it's trying to blend those two. And I do think that there is a bit more of an interesting story to be told here lyrically, especially since this song has a lot to do with the past 2 years and the COVID-19 pandemic. I've been seeing people in these messages in Wee Wee Blogs chats talking about how they don't feel like the lyrics do justice to the emotion of her storytelling. What is so unforgivable that she keeps repeating over and over again? That there's, that there needs to be some more meaning attached to the random words that are being used. And I would agree. I mean, again, I listen to melody first, and I haven't really dissected the lyrics to the same extent. But I do feel like if this song were sung in Montenegrin, that I would be less disconcerted with the melody and a little bit more kind of like, okay, I don't know, maybe it's just the translation's missing or something, but I want the storytelling to be richer, but I know that there is rich storytelling. Does that make any sense? And some people are pointing out her pronunciation, that it's just a little forced. And so I agree. I think if it was changed back to being in a Balkan language, there would be more of a mesh, a symbiosis with what the melody is giving us, because I want more from this. I want more from this. The next song that I do believe should qualify is the last song to be released to us. It is by the artist Nadir Rostamli and his song Fade to Black. This is the entry from Azerbaijan. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm not exactly getting the hype. I've seen some people rank this song really, really high. I think that we've got some other male ballads here, power ballads, that are delivering a little bit more to the table, melodically and lyrically. Definitely a vocally strong male here. We've got a guy who has the look. He's got the chops vocally. I'm confident that he could pull this off, but I just feel personally like there are some entries that steal his thunder a little bit. And I don't know, some people are pointing out that he sounds a little detached. Like, we haven't seen this live, but that he's not necessarily like as invested. It's just wandering around doing the motions. But again, maybe that's just Eurovision fatigue. We all feel a little bit like that. Like, sprinkle in this meditative piano, and then that powerful chorus comes in at the same predictable moment, and we've got that octave jump. We've got all these tropes, maybe a key change. We know these tropes come in throughout any kind of Eurovision, song. So it's hard to see through that. Aching for a memory, the aching for a relationship gone by, this guy just reckoning with all of these things he might have done wrong in a relationship and kind of coming face to face with his own mistakes, replaying these moments over and over in his head. I feel that, but I just don't know if there's anything in the lyrics in the chorus that like really remembers, that really has any sort of mantra like staying power. The lyrics feel divorced from the anthemic melody. They just feel plastered on. That's a similar issue I think I'm having with Montenegro. And there's another entry coming up that you can't divorce the lyrics from the melody, and that's a song I'm really a fan of, and I'll talk about it in a few spots. Next we have Malta. Okay, I'm gonna try and keep this moving. Emma Muscat. She had another song called Out of Sight. It didn't get really great reviews. It was pretty generic, nothing really that exciting. It didn't have a studio cut either. So she decided to go ahead and completely change her entry. This was a little controversial though, because some people are like, this was the song that people voted for you to win on. Like, it's like, yeah, they voted for you to win this contest, but they also voted for that song. So for then you to like last minute just completely change your song is kind of like undemocratic. So some people are a little bit pissed about that, but honestly, she made the right move, because I Am What I Am is the kind of power ballad, like anthemic, wave your lighter back and forth in the student stadium like moment that I'm always here for at Eurovision. Now, don't get me wrong. This song is not groundbreaking. This song is melodically like similar to other songs we've heard at Eurovision and others I could think of. I'm getting Michael Rice Bigger Than Us vibes. If Michael Rice got last place in 2019, the Bigger Than Us, but Malta, I don't think it's going to get last place. You do have to wonder, like, something is a little up there. Because I thought Bigger Than Us was a good song, but everyone hated it. I don't know. People just weren't about it. They liked Michael's voice, which I will agree was great, but they felt like he was given a terrible song. And I was like, Bigger Than Us, I'm not saying it's groundbreaking, but similar to why I loved Polina Gagarina's A Million Voices. Like, I am here for these crowd-pleasing anthemic Celine Dion choruses. Give me more of them. And I Am What I Am is so infectious, you cannot help it. So I get a positivity boost. I get some dopamine from this song. I don't know what it is, but I feel like she's going to have us all swaying back and forth, clapping our hands to this. We might all think it's kind of cheesy and generic, but you know what? We're still going to be getting up out of our seats for it. So you know what, Malta? You deserve to go through. I would be kind of sad if it didn't. I think the song is perfect, standard, positive Eurovision fare. Czech Republic. We Are Domi, Lights Off. This song got revamped as well, but it's a little bit more understated, their revamp. I'm not entirely sure what they changed. I think they just added and boosted certain things in the instrumental. I got so accustomed to hearing the original version that the new version sounds a little bit louder and kind of in my face. But taking it all in and sort of taking in the sort of Matrix kind of like cyborg stuff that's going on in the music video, technology taken over. I feel like this song is definitely lucky to not be competing with Halo, which is sent by Austria, which is in the other semi, because these two songs would be really going at it. I think this might be the slightly stronger of those two songs, though. I think that it's definitely an earworm. It's definitely a DJ set crowd pleaser. And it's definitely got the kind of edge that it needs to have to stand out from generic. Because this does have some heart to it. This has some experimental kind of, Martin Garrix kind of sound to it. Not that I'm a huge EDM fan, but this is one of our most EDM-friendly songs that we've got in the contest. But the lead vocalist, she sells it for me. She's not an amazing vocalist, but I feel like it'll do for what we've been given. Okay, Serbia. So definitely I think Serbia deserves to qualify. I've seen so many people rank this at the bottom because they have no taste. People who are going to put, Cyprus in their top 10 are probably not going to put Serbia anywhere near there. You either like Cyprus or you like Serbia. I'm picking those two examples, but you could pick other ones. Look, Serbia is not for the average listener. It is not the kind of song that is readily accessible. Serbia is giving us the most, Fiona Apple, like Bjorkian kind of crazy whatever that you could get in Eurovision this year. And I am here for it. Because at first we're all like, oh my God, this is terrible. Because it's so deadpan. Like she's so emotionless. She's breaking like all of the rules of Eurovision, and I'm living for it. Her performance, the movements, it's her sitting down, but it's not like we're meant to be like folky. It's more like it's just like an art performance. I'm getting like Marina Abramovich vibes. It doesn't hurt that she kind of looks like her as well. And she's washing her hands kind of neurotically. And it's like, what are we saying? Incorpore sano, incorpore sano. In sound mind is what that means. Well, it means in sound body, in sound mind, in sound body. It's like a Latin phrase for good health. And at the opening line, it's all in Serbian, but we hear Meghan Markle in this, like I said, very flat one note delivery. She kind of stares at the camera like, what? And you're just like, what are we doing? Constrata. What is this? But, look, I don't want to get this video too long, but, the lyrics are really something. What is the secret behind Meghan Markle's healthy hair? What could be the secret? I think that secret is the deep hydration. As they say, one's skin and hair reveal everything clearly. For example, dark circles around eyes point out to liver issues. Dark spots around lips might mean you have an enlarged spleen. And an enlarged spleen is not good, not pretty. You wouldn't think these are Eurovision song lyrics. You might think that this is, your healthcare provider, just giving you a little bit of bedside fodder. But no, because an artist, she has to be healthy. She has to be healthy. She has to be healthy. Has to be, Vitislava. Like, I am addicted to the chorus. And the chorus is the only time when we get any sort of melody. And I think that actually kind of captivates you a little bit. Like, the deadpanness of the lyrics, the sing-song, talky kind of thing, repetitive, like, direct, and then this just repetitive sort of clap along thing that you don't really know. It's very incantation. It's very like kind of ominous. It's kind of uneasy. It makes you a little uncomfortable, and that's everything I love about art. Now, I had this a little higher in my rankings, and I did have to like sort of readjust it because there does come a point where pretentiousness becomes a little too much. You could throw anything at a wall, call it art, and say, well, you can't critique it because it's art. Like, I get that this is art. And there is a huge statement here. She is singing about good health and, talking about, health in a very sort of diagnostic way that's kind of stripped of emotion. But then there's overarchingly this sort of understanding of we all are sort of spiritually deprived from having a sound mind. She's talking about how important it is to constantly have a sound body, but we're not really emphasizing a sound mind. And in a healthy body, the body is healthy. So what do we do now? A sick mind in a healthy body, a sad soul in a healthy body, a desperate mind in a healthy body, a frightened mind in a healthy body. So what do we do now? We offer up more terms of health-related issues. Mental health, the mental health side effects of this pandemic. She's opening it up beyond that. So it's like, okay, I really am here for where this is going. Like this metaphor, this kind of subversion, everything. It's performance art. And it really leaves, it's going to go over most people's heads. This is not going to, I'm worried it's not going to go through because it's too weird, and I could definitely see it not going through, but it's going through in my book if I had anything to say. And personally, I'd like to see it in the top 10 of the scoreboard at the end of it because I just think for, sheer originality and for message and stuff. But anyway, maybe it's just because I'm so bored of every other single Eurovision song we get presented to us that something like this, you can't look away from. You can't help but care and think that there's something there. But yeah, we got to tend to the mind because an unhealthy mind and an unhealthy body is not an overall healthy being. That's not the only version of health we should be measuring. And it's an important message. And the fact that it's in Serbian, I feel like if it was in English, we would be like, us English speakers going like, this is really ridiculous. Cause it sounds kind of crazy in English, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm here for it. Constrata, do your thing, okay? Oh, okay. Next we have Estonia. This one I can go through real quick. Not a big Western guy, but I'll be honest with you, the Western flute, the spaghetti Western kind of thing going on, the guitar flair, the vocals. Oh, he has got that deep, sexy vocal. Stefan is he's been in STLL for a while and he deserves his time in the shine, in the spotlight. I see this doing well. This is not like a Victor Crone situation where I'm like, ugh, like he's not even Estonian, like the song is generic. Yeah, this song is not really that special, but there is some more heart to it. There's a little bit more grit. There's something kind of unique to the instrumentation. It's not just an Avicii kind of style, like crowd pleaser Swedish pop, throwaway track. I think that, Estonia has really been disappointing me with what they send. But at the same time, like, I'm still kind of like, this is probably their best entry in like a couple years for me. I don't know. I'm more interested in what it's vocals, it's call and response, it's his voice, but the staging could be a little cheesy. I don't know if we need to necessarily reenact a Western on stage. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Romania, La Mame. What language is that? That's not Romanian, is it? The group WRS. Hola mi bebé. Like it sounds like Spanish. I think it is Spanish because he's saying hola. There's nothing about the lyrics here that's interesting, but the quirky, whimsical electropop vibe that this song has, kind of really a bop. I'm here for it. I think that choreographed, it's just a really like kind of poetic number. I don't know how to explain it, but it's doing something that Michael Ben Davids, which is trying so hard. This song's like, okay, no, we're not gonna do too much bass. We're not gonna like make this sound like it necessarily needs to be in a club. We're gonna make this a little more artistic. So they'll go a little bit more, whimsical and light on its feet and not over heavy handed. So I appreciate it. It doesn't sound like anything I've necessarily heard before. So I give it props for that. And I'd like to see this in my final. I have Australia, Sheldon Riley with Not the Same. Well, he certainly could sing the phone book. I love how we can't see his face for most of the performance. The styling with the big fan behind him, there is just something so powerful about the message being portrayed here, singing about, just feeling different. And, I interpret it as more than just being gay in a straight world, but just being, introvert or, a little neurodivergent or, being interested in different things or, what have you. Being from a different country than everyone else, not speaking the same language. There's just all of these metaphors and parallels that can be drawn from the core basis of, existential kind of loneliness that is pouring through this song, because it's a really heartfelt melody and it is kind of going for that Gion's Tears heartstring that was tugged so beautifully. Yeah, maybe I'm overrating it because I don't really see a lot of people talking about this one. I don't know if people are a little bored by it. I don't know if people feel as though it's been done before. Coming off of Duncan Lawrence, are we ready to go back to just something that is so stark like this? But I'm here for it. I have it in my top 3 of this semi. I'm like a big fan. So Sheldon got to be in the final. All right, the big 2. So Sweden. Some people might be a little upset that I'm not putting this at number 1. Hold Me Closer by Cornelia Jacobs, or Jodie Whittaker, as I'd like to say, because she looks a lot like her, the British actress. Someone pointed that out, and I can't not see it anymore. Look, I do think people are like, we have another Loreen on our hands. Like, this is the winning song. I feel like everyone is just like, every Swedish song is so overrated to me in Eurovision. I can't, like, it disgusts me, really disgusts me. This song is not all I think everyone's hyping it up to be. It's certainly fine. It's reminding me of Where I Am by Anja Nissen from Denmark in 2017, except I was still a little bit more intrigued by the melody of that one if we're going purely on melody. I think that her vocals are, they're a little broken, and that's important for the emotion. So I'm okay with the vocals. But I definitely feel like if we're going to be doing a final performance, like, I don't know, it's really going to come down to blowing me away with the staging, because obviously the Melfest staging is the Melfest staging, and it's different. But that wasn't blowing me away. And if, we're going to be critiquing, I don't know. There's just everyone kind of gets upset when I say, like, the UK sent this, like, but I'm just like, if the UK sent this, it would get paid dirt. Like, I don't understand. I don't quite get the hype for this one. I'm going to be completely honest. But again, looking at all the other songs we've got, I still have this in the top second spot. Because look, over repeated listens, I get it. It's just this very emotionally resonant, relatable, powerful power ballad that, Eurovision is made for. The fans are hungry for it. I think Cornelia has a lot of fans in Sweden, so that's helping. I don't know. I'm rooting for her. I'm definitely rooting for her. But if something else were to win, I would certainly not feel upset. But this is definitely qualifying. The other song that has to qualify, and this is sort of my like dark horse. I don't really think it's a dark horse, but it's being slept on a bit. Christian Ochman with River. Poland entry is my number one from this semi. It is my favorite song from this semi. And also Christian wins the Boyfriend Award because that man is fine. Okay, I'm sorry, but I don't know. The music video, I'm in love. I'm in love. So he wins the Boyfriend Award. And he also, I think, has the strongest male power ballad of this contest. Again, going back to Fade to Black, I just feel like, even though we're kind of getting dime a dozen lyrics again, like I'm going down to the river, baptism metaphor, like kind of take me to church vibes. I don't know his sexuality, but I'm getting gay vibes. I'm getting gay vibes. Please tell me he's not straight. Please tell me Christian is not straight. He probably is. He probably is. I don't want to know. It's going to be too depressing. But I definitely am living for his falsettos, his operatic tone that he has in the backing vocals for parts of the chorus jumps he does. I think vocally he is just going to serve. I know he was a little under the weather for the Polish final performance, but when he's 100%, no holds barred. Okay, I think the staging is going to be crucial on this one. You got to style him right. I really want to see that water on stage. I mean, I know there's only certain logistics you can use with that, but I want what we got for Sergei Lazarev in 2019, like with Scream, because I'm getting that vibe, like something that's just the most powerful male tenor vocal that you could imagine, just belting out the most aching melody that is going to just swell you up. And it's at one hopeful and it's at once hurt. It's that perfect blend for me of melancholy and uplifting. This song is just straddling that. There's so much frenetic, kind of frantic, anxious energy, and then explosions, and then it's soft, yeah, and melodic. It's ticking all the boxes for me. I love the visuals of the music video, the rich symbolism that is imbued in that, and it's my triumphant, male vocal song for this contest for sure. So I am definitely rooting for it. And it's my favorite out of the semi. But ultimately, I have, my 10 qualifiers and I have my 8 that I don't want to see. But ultimately, if I had to predict, I wouldn't be surprised if Cyprus, swapped out for Montenegro. Unfortunately, I'm a little worried about Romania. I'm also a little bit worried about Serbia. I could see Finland or maybe even Belgium swapping out those places. Everything else I'm feeling pretty confident about. It's on site if Australia, Sweden, or Poland don't make it in. And I think the Czech Republic's pretty safe. Estonia seems like a good bet as well. And I would like to see Malta there. So those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know your favorite songs from this semi. What are your least favorites? Let me know. It's just my opinion. I have one more Eurovision video to do. It'll be talking about the Big 5 automatic qualifiers, because this year, one of the host countries is an automatic qualifier, so we only have 5 in that category, not 6. So I will make a video for that in the next couple days. Then I'll be done with Eurovision for a little bit. But I hope you enjoyed this one. It was an hour long again. Yay! Never brief with me. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful, blessed day. Peace, love, and light. Bye.